Good afternoon. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. It's a good Friday. It's a good Friday. All right, so I figure for this stream, we are going to confirm some things. We're going to go through the process that I go through called code cleanup. Because I think it's pretty much ready. Like, we'll read the quick guide. I made one. I broke down. I made one. Hopefully I don't have to repair or, well, fix it that often. But yeah, this is going to be about buttoning up some things, making sure the game loads nice and clean. I did some pretty awesome testing with multiplayer. Thank you very much, Verlia and Captain Oates. They helped me on the server. All the particles are synchronized. Like, I had a literal list of issues that, like, as they were playing with things and finding things, yeah, like meditation locking, casting animations getting stuck, spell scroll messages not going through. Like, I mean, it's like a whole pad of things. But everything else should be pretty solid. So again, I'm code cleanup. When I post something, like, you'll probably notice, like, I put in like code cleanup at the end of a lot of my updates, because there'll be some dead code that, you know, I kind of reorganize things, make it all easier to read. I may optimize some methods, get rid of, you know, like images, like there may be some textures that I'm not using anymore. So, you know, making sure, like, okay, all the mappings are, you know, legit. Because remember, when you start, especially when you make a mod for the first time, you're adding a lot of things, you're trying out things, shifting things, you know, like you kind of accumulate clutter that you're not using. So this is, you know, kind of like to declutter for the release. That way, when I inevitably have to fix something, it's going to be easier to find, locate, and deal with. And I can start, and if we get the code cleanup done early, then we are going to actually just go and start on spells. I'll start working on, I don't know, whatever spells I want to work on. So, that being said, I'm going to first close out of all tabs. Close out of everything. We're going to do an audit of the block types. And really what I'm just doing is, like, you know, something like this, the elemental altar, I make sure that it's disabled. I will have an elemental altar, but I just don't want it to show up right now because it's not complete. We'll look at something like the Oculus. You know, the Oculus is going to be good. Like, this is another valid block. I don't have to open them as I do it. Arcanus is a placeable block. We have the bricks, the crystals. Aha, here we go. First one, log. So in the beginning of the mod, I was going to have magic wood. I don't know if magic wood is going to be a forced thing or not. You know what I mean? Like, I was thinking more of the Thaumcraft, the silver wood. I always like that concept, but it does something legit, right? Like, you plant a silverwood tree, it could have a portal, right? It could generate a portal for, like, the essence. I guess it had a second thing where it would, like, fight back the corruption. So, you know, I don't think I necessarily need magic wood logs. So this is something that I would probably just delete. If I want to pursue this, I can at a later date. Maybe someone finds a way for me to incorporate it in a fun way that doesn't feel tacked on. But for now, it shouldn't be in the mod, because we're not in that direction. Mana stones, yes. Planks. So again, with the magic mod, you know, you're going to have magic wood, turn that into magic planks, and then that was going to be what it was a wand at the time. That was the first tool idea. So it was going to be what you made your wand out of. Again, kind of like silverwood. We don't need this. No planks. These three we're going to keep. Summon Light is for the Summon Light spell. The tool Circle Prism, we will end up renaming that to, like, Spell Circle Prism. But that's going to be the tier 2 spell that you put on the ground. And then the Summoning Anchor is slated to be tier 3. I'm just going to double check these. Yep, and things are disabled, so I was good and I cleaned them up. That's good. Here we go in here. I could get rid of that because I enabled this. See, again, right, I wrote myself a note. I don't need it because I already did the change. I just never deleted the note. Entities. So we have our projectiles, right? Tier 1, 2, 3, and 4, and the Summon Light projectiles. That's all fine. The dummy effects, that is fine. So we can get rid of the entities there. Entities are good. Item types. So we have our energy ball. The energy ball projectile was the first revision, the first alpha revision of casting a spell. You weren't able to use at the time it was a wand that everyone made fun of for looking like a big thick stick with a bump at the end. So this was just an item to be able to spawn the projectile because I was working with the shaders. As you can see, like, the elements have kind of ballooned up a little bit since then. I ended up adding a rust, and then fire, water, wind, earth, electric, ice, and then I have nature and arcane, and then light and dark. So this is all old stuff. I don't need this spawner anymore, which means I don't need the projectiles folder either. So we are going to delete that, and I'm going to go ahead and delete the folder as well. Spells. Spell icon. This is something that I need to go through and audit because I'm a little OCD and I kind of branched things off. For this, we're going to start the game. I'm going to build it, start the game, and I'm going to look to see what my final tier 1 spell list is, tier 2, tier 3, and then I'm going to adjust their position. Because I ended up changing quite a bit. I changed things quite a bit, especially when I decided on the Rust Mage. That's when the spells started to shift around for like a sense of balance. Alright, so let's pull up the spellbook / time. Set day. There we go. Okay, so let's look at our tier 1 spells. I'm going to try and put this over here. So we have all of the attack spells, which are fine. You know, I should probably put them in alphabetical order, huh? So, like, befriend animal would be number 1. You know, I shouldn't do that. I'm not going to. There we go. I know these spells here, Silent Steps, or not Silent Steps, all the resists are now tier 3. So I'm going to cut those out. We'll come down to tier 3 and I'll paste them in there. So Plunder, Featherfall, Silent Steps, Equilibrium, Shielding Barrier, Spike Shield, those I haven't made yet. Swim Speed is out. Surface Ascent. Okay, so all these other ones I think are fine. You know, I don't have to change anything else. I just had to move the resists. Nothing else really changed. Alright, so good. Spell icons are done. The tool, so the tool focus, that was my idea. I wasn't sure how I was going to attune you to a certain element. So the idea was, for any kind of like projectile spell, I was going to have just like a Rust Volley spell. So like the Rust version of the spells. And then what you could do is you could hold an offhand item, you know, like a Fire Focus. And it would turn your Rust attack into a fire attack, and then by using the fire spell, you know, like a fire attack spell, you would be able to gain experience in your attunement. That would be one way to do it. I like the idea, but I feel like it's a little one-dimensional because there's so many spells. Maybe you don't want, like, it would be an offhand item that adds only like a physical attack. You know, like I just don't know if it's worth, you know, like if it's the right system. Because what it would do is it would trim the spellbook down quite a bit. Because there are 11 spells, so 8, 9, 10, 11, pretty much an entire page of just attack spells. I mean, but at the same time, I guess it's not really about quantity at this point. It would be a quality thing. So for quality, does it make sense to just have like an attack spell called Rust Volley? And then have it to where like you could have Rust Volley on. There we go. And then like right now, like I don't have an offhand item, so the Rust Volley is just gonna do normal rust damage, right? But if I want to turn this into a fireball, I can put my offhand item in, and then that spell becomes fireball, and then I can cast it, you know, and it would shoot a fireball doing fire damage instead of, you know, it would be a cool idea because you would have like the way mana works in my mod is everything kind of originates from the rust, you know, so that's even when you regain mana, right, you peer into the abyss, you peer into the rust world to unlock the perception of mana. You have to keep juggling your mana versus your temporal stability, you know, like when you try to regain it. So it would make sense to have like an attack, you know, like a projectile attack in each tier, and then that attack can just change to another element depending on the offhand item that you currently have. Like, does that make sense? It would trim down, it would turn 44 spells into 4 spells. But it may be better in the long run. Because then I could focus on making spells that aren't just all projectiles. Right? Because then if I add like an area of effect spell, or a shotgun spray spell, like a closer range shotgun spray, you know, that may disorient, kind of like the mage, you know, like fire attack, right? Like I could do things like that, but each time I make something new, I'm gonna have to make 44 spells, pretty much. Why don't we try it? I'm gonna bring the focus back in. We'll give it a try. Let me make sure the elements are here. So this is a little different. So we'll have rust. And then fire, water, wind. Okay, so fire, water, wind, earth, lightning, ice, plant, arcane, light, dark. Yes, and then rust. Let me make sure that's all of them. Because we could go right into like Arcanus bricks. Normal, rust, fire. Okay, so I have the normal. But there's not going to be like a normal thing. I'm not going to have a normal. I'll just have it be like rust. Got magic missiles? No. Trying to come up with logic that would lock on to like a target for magic missiles? Nah. How you doing, RC? You know what figures? I just put out something in the vintage story about the mod. Luckily, it seems like everyone ignored it. Because I'm like, oh, this weekend! Yeah, sometime this weekend. If I'm gonna put in a system like this, it's gonna be a pretty big lift. It would require some multiplayer testing as well. But I think this would be like better, right? Have it become an item. And then that's how you could gain attunement, right? Because I can do my projectile. And that would actually open up a system to where like maybe the spell barrier, when I finally make it, you can attach an element to certain spells. So maybe the barrier could be like a fire spell. If you know, even if it's just like a visual look, it can fit the theme for the kind of mage that you want to be. Bum, bum, ba, dum, bum. So let's give it a try. I'm gonna enable this. Why did I do enable? I meant to do true. I have a feeling I don't have a an item tool rust focus anymore. We will see. Oh shit, I got one. All right. I don't think I have a model for it. Maybe that's what I was thinking. I don't think I have a shape for it. And then I guess, do I want a focus to be like an offhand thing that you just kind of hold, like a little ball kind of focus thing? Should the focus look more like a wand, so you could have like a wand and a staff? Should I have it look like a dagger? That way it looks like, you know, I could flip the dagger so maybe it's reversed with like an orb or something on top. Should I make it a shield? Like either like a light transparent like energy shield, or I don't know, what should the focus look like if I were to put this in? All right, so shapes, items, tool, focus, tool. Oh my god, I have my original focus idea. So it's gonna look like a spike ball. It's gonna look like a crappy spike ball. So I did a lot more work on this than I thought. Sweet. All right, let's load into the game. Build. My neighbor, I hear my neighbor mowing right now. It's like it's taunting me. Like I shouldn't be streaming right now and having fun. I should be like mowing my yard. But I think I could do it tomorrow, maybe. I don't know if it's supposed to rain tonight. I'm assuming it's not gonna rain. That's my assumption. All right, so I have a bunch of focuses, right? Focus can be put in the offhand. Whoops. So it's kind of like a big spike mace club right now. But I'm not sure what I want to make it look like. It's definitely not going to look like this. I just made something so I could like see it. But maybe, you know, I could make the focus like give off light so it could take the place of like an oil lamp. Yeah, but see, that's what this slot originally was for. So I could maybe use this, maybe I could use this slot. I can type in like focus right here. Or maybe I could type in element or something, and then I can have like, if you have a fire focus, maybe it would show up like a little fire icon that I make. And then that could change the spells, like some of the spells. Maybe? I don't know. I'm trying to source the idea. I see a couple people watching. What's your all's thoughts? What are your thoughts? Because I think it would be cool, like have a fire focus on, and then you learn like, you know, Rust Volley or something, like you memorize Rust Volley, and now when you cast the spell, you know, it turns into well, it's going to be like a fireball because you have a fire focus. I think that would look cool, right? That'd be cool. Although I guess I wouldn't need a rust focus because that would be the base of the spell. So really it would look like this. Not enough sleep, can't focus on focus. I don't know. I think it would be a cool spell. Now, how would it work versus a Rust Mage versus a non-Rust Mage class? So I'm a non-Rust Mage class. I'm tier 1 magic. Rust Volley does 1 point of damage. Maybe the focus can add extra damage too. That way, a tier 1 may want to put on a focus and then start casting, you know, like Ember or whatever it is. They won't gain elemental attunement, but it would be, like with my monsters, they would all have their weakness, so... I don't know. I don't know. Like, is it too complex of a spell? So how, let me look to see how the spell would even look like before I try and do anything like this. It may be more annoying to do than I'm thinking. So we're gonna focus on Rust Volley. So I would pick the tier, the school, like all this stuff is like default. I pick a default element of Rust. The mana cost, damage, and everything, but really it's in here that I pass that information. So for instance, the element. I also have the element right here. So I'm piping it in. I could just come right up top and I could say... So we have damage. I'll do element, so I'll do this dot... element, or you know what I'd have to do? We'll do an if statement. If, whoops, and then I can say this dot element equals whatever. And what I could do is I could look for the offhand. So I could say, okay, the entity, by entity. I'm gonna have to rewrite this a little bit. I had a feeling I'd have to do this. So I want to do something like this. Because what I need to do is I need to take a snapshot of the entity. I'm doing this in all my other spells. I have not done this in my projectile spells. But if I do this right, I'm not going to have to copy and paste this like 40 more times over. I'm going to be able to get rid of all those other spells and then just have the name change of the spell and the icon change. Which I think I definitely can do that. That should be easy depending on the focus you have. So on cast stop. So by entity, so what I'm doing is I'm making sure the player, the entity, right, is a player, and then I'm creating a variable for the player, and then I'm doing whatever the effects are. So I'm gonna just create a bunch of space here. Why is it not happy with by player? Cannot be declared in the scope because the name is used by, oh, it's already used somewhere else. All right, I'm using it here. So by iPlayer, by iPlayer. Let's do that. So this would be by iPlayer. Bum, ba, dum, bum, dual call by player? I don't think I need that. Consume mana for spell. Okay, so I'm gonna have to migrate some of this code over. I know I will need the damage and the accuracy bonuses. So we're gonna do something like this. I'll kind of piecemeal it together here. All right, the next part I'm gonna need is this. And this. And this. All right, I'm gonna need all that. let's paste this in. Technically, I don't think I need this variant. This is going to be part of that code cleanup. I don't need that. This, I'm not sure if I need this. I don't know what dual call by player is actually doing for me. Because on default, it's null. Here we go. If this call is made on client and on server, set this, set the causing player ID to prevent double playing. Essentially, dual call will play the sound on the client and send it to all other players except source client. Oh. That's interesting. I don't think I've set this anywhere else. You know, something like, you know, I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it. I think it's helping other people hear what you are hearing from the client. So I'm gonna leave that section. I can simplify this though. Technically, I could get rid of all of this and just do that. I could just create the iPlayer variable directly because I've already done a test to see if it's going to be a multiplayer person. So yeah, there's that. Let's copy over. Honestly, let's just copy over the rest of it. So we create the projectile based on the element. The projectile itself, we create the entity. We set the fired by the damage and the projectile stack. What I'm also going to want to tack onto that is going to be the element. So we're gonna beef it up a little bit. I'm going to say entity spell dot, and I'll call it element equals this element. It's going to be unhappy. We are going to take care of that. Actually, we could probably take care of it right now. Well, I'd have to... Well, we'll take care of it in a bit. I'm going to have to make probably a new method that extends entity projectile, or I may have already made that. Let's take a look. Entity projectile, what do we have? You know what? I think I created the new projectile. I just never set it to attach itself because we have the energy ball logic right here. And then this is the projectile, and all I'm doing is adding... I'm setting gravity to false, running everything that's base everywhere else on collided. It does the impact. On die, it plays a sound when it dies. So, yeah. I should be using this. So we're going to change that. I'm going to paste this in, paste that in. We still have to create element in here. Here, I'm going to move this over here. Go into here. This is going to be called element. It's going to be a string. All right, so it should be passing the string into there. I won't have to initialize it. I will have to apply the string to this projectile. So maybe what I could do is on initialize. We'll look to see what the projectile's already doing. And we will mimic it so that way it's all kind of the same. So entity projectile on initialize, I'm pretty sure we're going to have to... See, we're not adding any kind of watched attribute. But it looks like we actually don't need to add any kind of watched attribute. All right, so the way we're gonna do this is Rust Volley. Oh, okay. So I'm going to send the element information to it, and then in initialize, I'm going to say this dot watched attributes dot set string, and I'm going to say this dot element. We got to come up with a key, so let's go in RMR references. Come on, references dot. I'm just going to put something in. We're going to navigate here. I'm going to add. Where should I put it? So I have my buffs, my alters. This isn't exactly a player behavior, so it shouldn't go here. It has nothing to do with items soulbound or the gear. Spell effects or ideas. Entity watched attribute. I will put it beneath here. This is going to be called entity... I'll say entity projectile. Entity projectile watched attribute. And then we'll do element. E-L-E-M-E-N-T. E-L-E-M-E-N-T. We'll do projectile, watched attributes, element. Right? So now I can call this everywhere I need it. For now, I need it just right here. I can get rid of the rest of this stuff. Poop, code cleanup. So now I'm going to turn it into a watched attribute that I can look for and synchronize between the client and the server. Which now means, let's go into the shader. The renderer, I mean. So tier 1, we're focusing on that. This is how I'm doing it right now. So I'm creating an entity based on what it contains. I should not do it this way anymore. This is the old way of doing it. What I need to do now is entity dot watched attributes dot get string, and for this I'm going to do RMR references dot, and it's going to be element. So I'm getting the element. So I say if this dot equals and then I can say this, or I could pull up the enum, so it would be e spell elements dot rust dot to string. Let me just make sure. Perfect. Perfect. So again, I'm getting rid of all of the static references to things, so I could change it dynamically here, or I could change the element, the enum for the elements. And then it should just kind of find those two things with the enum magic numbers, right? Well, in this case, it wouldn't be a magic number, it would be a string, but So basically, I'm going to look at that attribute I set, and whatever it is, it's going to generate those particles. So I can have whatever it is in my offhand, and then when you cast that rust spell, it's going to look like a fireball going towards you, because it's going to take the shape of fire. You don't have to memorize all these other spells, like it's just going to take that shape. I think that's a better system. I'm kind of digging this a little bit. I'm liking it. I'm liking it. And I'm going to keep the old stuff here. So that's rust. I'm going to have to do the same thing all over. So, right, comment that out. We're going to paste this in. Instead of rust, this will be fire. And then that's going to be all the fire logic. So I'm going to just kind of whip through these. I think it's just going to be a lot faster doing it this way. And I think if I do this and just copy that, I should be able to paste it in, so I could say dark. There we go, see? Now I can do light. We can do arcane. Oh my god, lightning! Run! Nature. This is gonna be ice. This will be electric. This will be earth. This will be air or wind. Hey Blurry, how's it going? This will be water. And then fire. Sweet. So now this is going to be much more dynamic. Let's go ahead and edit. Let's go ahead and edit, because we're not done. We're not done. We got a lot more things to do. So Rust Volley, right? I'm going to set the element. We never finished this part. I got ahead of myself. So I'm going to look to see by player dot left hand dot empty, right? So I'm going to look and see, is your left hand not empty, right? And then we're going to hop into another if statement, because we have another check to do. And then what I could say is if this slot in your hand dot item stack is, and then I can say the focus, right? So that was what? Tool, item tool focus. Oh wait, I gotta go to dot item, and I should put one more check in here. Well, a bit stressful as my PC decided to do automatic update to Windows 11, forgot to cancel it. You know what? Windows 11 was a little more, it was a little annoying for me. I'm on Windows 11. It was a little annoying because there are some things, like if I right click, like it's a little different. Like I'll try and look for things. You could just do show more options and it pulls up like the old way. Honestly, that's like the only annoyance. That, and I guess the file explorer, it's kind of annoying to open up multiple tabs. It tries to like bunch all these things together. You know, so like, you know, like this is kind of like what my stuff looks like now. Like you can't really like drag it out, but you could right click and open up like a new one if you want. But you know, there are probably ways to get around it. But at the same time, like, it was easy to adapt to. And what about you? There has to be a mod for that. Yeah, someone should make a mod for that. Blurry, you're up. How you doing, Hexadin? So I'm wondering, I need to look at the item stack .get. So I'm doing this in one other place. I need to look at an item stack and determine if it's a block or an item. I need to determine that. And again, I am doing that. Where am I doing that? Oh, I'm doing it in the Oculus block. The Oculus. There we go. It's under the mesh rendering that I do. Look at all this code that needs cleaning up. Ugh. Okay, where the heck is it? Come on, don't make me search for it. Gen mesh, right? That's what it is. You're gonna make me search for it. Gen inventory mesh. There it is. Oh, I had it minimized. Whoops. Yeah, see, stack. So I'm getting a stack. So item stack. So I'm getting the item stack. Okay, okay. So if the item stack does not equal null, and then I get the class, this is what I'm looking for. So I have to see if it equals a block. No, I have to see if it equals an item. So this is really the one I want. I use classic shell to bring the start menu interface to something similar to XP. Yeah, actually, I don't even really notice the difference anymore. I had to find out how to drag, like, because the search was like in the center and it was like all weird. All I had to do was just like drag it over, just unlock it, drag it, and it looks perfectly fine. Like the upgrade, I was bitching about it a lot in the beginning. Like, I'll come out and say it. I was doing it on stream. I'm like, I hate Windows 11. It's terrible. They should feel bad. Like, it was fine. I was being over dramatic. It was fine. There we go. So I can do something like this. I can look at the item in your hand. I can make sure that the class equals an item. It's not a block from someone else's mod or something, because that would trigger a crash, which would be no bueno. I don't think people would like their games with a side of crash. And then I can take a look specifically at the item, and I can see if it's a focus. And then if that is the case, I can say this element equals, I can get the code. Variant. Oh, man. I'm doing this somewhere. I think it's with the projectiles I'm doing this. Where's my focus item? I have to figure out what I'm calling it. Focus. So I'm calling it a type instead of an element. All right, instead of type, it's going to be called element. Because it just makes sense to make it an element, not a type. There we go. So now I can look for element variants. There we go. So it should pre-pin these anyways. Now I got to make sure that I'm doing the making it like sizing it down to lowercase. I actually today got a gift laptop from my mobile phone service provider as a 5-year client. Nice. Very nice. Oh no, Microsoft got him. Run! Asus VisioBook State 12 Slate OLED. Has Windows 11. It's pretty neat. Besides the stupid right click when you run, deload on it. Yeah. Also, this thing has proper stylus, so no more texturing with mouse. That's cool. That's awesome. Oh, sorry, 13 Slate, not 12. Oh. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I stick with my old PC. Let me tell you, I was on a job today. I was installing some networking equipment, and I got a new laptop, a new rugged laptop. And my old rugged laptop, like, I've never had a touch screen for a computer, you know, for a laptop. I didn't realize how much I hated touchscreen for computers. So I'm sitting there because I'm doing like routing changeovers and making sure like VLANs and like networking things are the same. And then I'm kind of, you know, because I'm looking from one to another, and I go to point something, I'm like, yeah, it's this right here, and then I would touch it, and then it would move my cursor and start selecting things, and I'm like, why is it doing that? I hate this. I accidentally hit this other thing. Now I pull back up this window, or I minimize the window, or I did it so often today. It's like a slap in the face each time. Wait, rugged laptop with touch, they can't make it? No, it's a Dell rugged. The thing's awesome. Like, it's definitely awesome. But I hate that. I can get into the BIOS and disable it. I've been lazy. I've been lazy. It's days like today that make me want to go in and you know, take care of it. So what I need to do here is 2 string, and then I got to do 2 lower, I think. Because it needs to be the same across. You know what? No. I'm going to do 2 upper on the other side. I'll have less changes to make just changing it here than I will elsewhere. So I believe returns a copy of the string converted to uppercase to upper invariant. So convert to uppercase using the casing rules. No, there's one thing I can't remember. I don't use it that often. It's to maybe it takes 1 overload. I think it is 2 upper, and then I think I put in the position, right? The positional information. No. Okay, so this is a perfect example, right? It's something you don't use too often. So what do? What's new in Chrome? You know what? You can kiss my hiney, Chrome. We look it up. So C#, string make first letter uppercase. Look at that, boom. Oh, it says first char to upper method. Takes the first character input 0 and invokes the char.toUpper method to convert it to uppercase. So I guess I was right. So I'm going to see if that exists. No, see, I don't have the specific one, but I do have the toUpper. So we're string index. So this is kind of what we look at, right? So again, this is anything you have any questions on with programming, you can Google search it. Like, you know, there's no reason to go all ham, right? So in C#, right, toUpper function, which I figured was what we wanted. So in the case that we'll be discussing, only the first character of the string needs to be converted to an uppercase. The rest string will stay the same, right? So there's our example. First character of the string can be indexed as string 0, where string is the original string. String.substring1 will return the remaining string of the whole string except for the first character. Okay, that makes sense. So basically, if we do toUpper string 0, it's getting the first digit in whatever the string is. No, I don't want to be an adult yet. Right, else if the length is equal to 1, or if the length is equal to 1, then we tack on that, else we tack on everything else. So we're going to have to, and let's run the code. So this is the output for this. So we're going to have something like Rust. This is a little bulkier than I would like it to be, honestly. I think there's a better way of doing this, so we're going to continue. a lot of times there's always multiple ways to do things, and it's not like that was wrong. Here we go. Solution in different C# versions, right? So 2.1 or 3.0, I think either way we're going to be fine. So string concat. Technically, I guess I could do something like this for C# 7. You know what? The rest of this stuff seems kind of annoying. I was hoping there'd be an easier way to do this, but ha! Egg on my face. And oh, and look at the example here. So it's about the same thing. So I guess we will go with this example. What I'm just going to do is copy this out, and then we're going to paste it in and then modify it for our needs. I don't know what I'm doing here. Here we go. Paste. I hate else statements and stuff. Like, you know, technically that is correct. I hate it. I like to put it in curly brackets. It makes it just easier. There we go. So we're fixing this up, making it look good. We are going to create a temporary element. I'm going to call this string new element. We're just going to initialize it here. You know what? I'll make it say Rust. Hey. In like 10 minutes. My alarm just went off. Does that work? 5 minutes? Alright, so give me 3 minutes then to just finish what I'm doing. Okay. So I'm gonna have to go in 3 minutes. Being an adult, I can't push it back. Can't push it back. Sometimes that's how it is. So we're gonna take this elemental string, right? For this string, we are gonna say, we're gonna cut this out. Instead of Rust, ideally it's gonna be whatever the element focus is, and then we're gonna have to modify that. So we're gonna take new element, we're gonna paste it right here, paste it here, paste it, whoops, here, paste, and paste. So if it equals 0, empty string, it's never going to equal 0. So we're going to get rid of that. So if the length equals 1, so if there's anything there, alarm fights back. That alarm! I could take this out. Cut. Paste. Bam. You know what I could do? I'm pretty sure I can... You know what? No, it has to be char. So we would be getting the character. I gotta cut this out. Paste that. And then this would just equal new element. So this should take whatever the element is. And then pretty much strip it into the different characters. And then connect it back together. This should not be... retrieves a string from this instance, substring starts. Okay. So this is... I probably should do... I can do this a little differently. I might as well just dismiss that. Man, I may not be able to finish this. So we'll say new element equals new element substring 1. We will do this to upper. So I'll do new element dot to upper. And then we are going to say, I believe I could do something like this. No. Oh, because I can't convert that. All right, I'm gonna have to deal with this later because I actually really have to go. So I'm gonna comment this out. We'll come back to it. I know I'm close, but I don't do this all the time. But since we are doing an equals, we need to make sure case sensitivity's there. But we will work on this. I will be. Oh no, I won't be live streaming. Blurry, if you are available, again at that time. I can help you out. Really, with our stuff, it shouldn't take long to kind of set you up, but maybe after that, I will live stream. So, I'll live stream later. Thank you, everyone. I am going to find someone to raid. Who is playing Vintage Story? Who? Wow, we got a lot of people playing, huh? Oops, all Vintage Story. Who are you? Putty, Eternal Fam. I haven't seen this Eternal Fam. They're not even playing Vintage Story. Hardcore, I died, delete. I don't know. Who do you want to raid? Who do you want to raid? I can go with like Ponce. I've raided him before. It's like Minecraft but evil. Yeah. You know what? We're gonna raid this person. Putty 1. Boop! Exclamation raid. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. I like the idea of having this focus system. I think it's going to do really well. I think it's going to be fun and dynamic like that. You know, just one more thing to kind of that can help make a, you know, and I can work with it too. Like I could make it to where your element can maybe change the colors of some of your spells. You know, I kind of want to give more power to the people, per se. But right now, it is pretty much finished. We did multiplayer testing. It works 100% on .NET 7, 1.18.8. It works on 1.18.7 on the old standard as well. It's pretty dynamic. It's good to go. But thank you, everyone. I'll be live streaming a little later. Blurry, I will see you around 8 p.m. Eastern time. And have a good night, everyone. Bye.